You want to have this conversation with Harriet, not with me, I think, really.
Well, I'm just... Well,
you've obviously got a view. I thought you were a broadcaster. I hadn't realised that you were an opinionist.
Excuse me, Chris. I don't have a view. I'm putting these comments to you.
You clearly do.
You recused yourself. Why didn't Harriet Harman?
Well, nobody asked her to. When the committee was set up, so the Privileges Committee is a slightly unusual body in Parliament. It's the only committee which can only investigate things that have been referred to it directly by the whole of the House of Commons. We thought there was going to be a vote in the Commons because initially Boris Johnson said he was opposed to the setting up of the committee, knowing full well that it was Harriet Harman. But then he announced that he was perfectly relaxed about it all, and which is why the decision to refer the matter to the Committee of Privileges was taken unanimously by the whole House. So it feels a bit odd now that Boris Johnson has gone off in a hissy fit, a narcissistic rant about kangaroo courts and all the rest of it. You could argue that that's another contempt of Parliament. I don't think anybody's really seriously in doubt that Boris Johnson holds Parliament in contempt, but it looks like Parliament has now decided that it holds Boris Johnson in contempt.
Boris Johnson in his statement says they, that's the committee, have willfully chosen to ignore the truth because from the outset their purpose has not been to discover the truth or genuinely to understand what was in my mind when I spoke in the Commons. You can kind of see his point, can't you? Harriet Harman, on the day that Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak were fined by police for attending a brief birthday party in the Cabinet Room, tweeted, PM and Chancellor, complete disregard for rules vital to protect health of others, unspeakable, disgraceful. In a further tweet, she appeared to prejudge, actually, the case that she was then set to rule on. She said...
Okay, you want to have this conversation with Harriet, not with me, I think, really.
Well, I'm just...
You've obviously got a view. I thought you were a broadcaster. I hadn't realised that you were an opinionist.
Excuse me, Chris. I don't have a view. I'm putting these comments to you.
You clearly do. You very clearly do.
I'm putting these comments to you to try to understand why Boris Johnson feels so aggrieved and why you think actually justice has been done here. That's the point that I'm trying to get at.
You're not.
No, I am. I seriously am. And I'm trying to ask you...
I don't think you're a serious journalist at all.
Gosh.
I think you just want to pump out Boris Johnson's agenda. You've been played beautifully by a man who, John Curtis has just told you, is thought by only 5% of people in the country don't think that he lied to Parliament. And have a committee that was advised by a former High Court judge on its processes. It was entirely fair. I don't know whether you attended it, whether you saw the oral hearings. He was given 5 opportunities to correct the record and decided not to. So the point that the committee was trying to investigate from the very beginning, I'm amazed that some people didn't understand this, was first of all whether he lied to Parliament, which doesn't necessarily mean that he intended to mislead Parliament. It's about whether he corrected the record once he knew that he had misled it. It's about whether he was reckless about the truth. It's about whether he should have known better and how culpable he was. And it seems as if the committee, which has a Conservative majority on it, for all Boris Johnson's rantings, and went through a thorough process as agreed by the former High Court judge, Ernest Ryder, and every lawyer I've spoken to said it seemed a perfectly sensible parliamentary process for dealing with this matter.
Well, if I may finish the point that I was trying to make before your quite unnecessary personal attack on me. My point that I was going to make was that Harriet...
Well, you're making an attack on Harriet Harman.
I'm not. I'm trying to ask you a question. My point that I was going to make all of those minutes ago was about Harriet Harman losing the battle of perception on this almost instantly. And that is so important for due process, and it strikes me that wasn't considered fully.
Well, you've come to your view. There you are. You should.
Do you want to respond to that at all, or not?
Sorry?
Do you want to respond to that? Did Harriet Harman lose the perception battle here?
It's your view.
It's not my view, Chris. I'm asking you a question. Did she lose the perception battle? You're not asking me a
question. You're holding a view.
Did she lose the perception battle instantly?
You think she did?
I'm asking you if you think she did.
But you're not, are you?
I literally just did. I literally just asked you.
You literally just didn't. You literally said that she had lost the perception battle.
This is thoroughly dissatisfying. Chris Bryant, thank you very much for joining us. Chris Bryant, who recused himself as chair of the Privileges Committee.